Some warriors didn't just fight battles, they became legends. Imagine stepping onto the battlefield and seeing a Spartan staring you down, shield in one hand, spear in the other, or hearing the blood-curdling war cries of a Viking berserker, charging at you with no fear of death. These were not just soldiers. These were warriors so terrifying that their enemies would rather flee than fight. Today, we uncover the deadliest warriors in history and what made them so unstoppable. Strength, skill, and an unbreakable will. These warriors weren't just trained to fight, they were trained to dominate. Some fought for honor, others for glory, and some simply for the thrill of battle. But all of them earned their place in history as the most feared warriors of their time. From the disciplined Spartans to the ruthless Mongol horsemen, let's break down what made these fighters the ultimate war machines. Spartans didn't just train for war, they were born for it. From the moment a Spartan boy turned 7, he was taken from his family and thrown into the brutal Agog training system. Weak? You were left to die. Afraid? You were beaten until fear no longer existed. Spartans lived by a single rule: win or die. At the Battle of Thermopylae, 300 Spartans stood against a massive Persian army. Outnumbered, yes. Scared, never. They held the line for days, cutting down thousands before finally being overwhelmed. Their message was clear: Spartans don't retreat. Spartans don't surrender. Imagine facing an opponent who doesn't feel pain, doesn't stop attacking, and won't back down, no matter what. That was the Viking berserker. Berserkers weren't ordinary warriors. They were said to enter a trance-like state, fighting in blind fury, shrugging off wounds that would kill anyone else. Some historians believe they used natural hallucinogens to reach this state, making them nearly unstoppable in battle. To their enemies, they weren't men. They were monsters. And once the berserkers charged, there was only one option: run. To a samurai, honor was more important than life itself. Trained in kenjutsu from childhood, a samurai could slice through enemies with deadly precision. Their famous katana was sharp enough to cut through armor. But their true weapon? Discipline. They lived by the Bushido code, which demanded loyalty, courage, and self-sacrifice. If a samurai failed in duty, there was only one way to redeem themselves: seppuku, ritual suicide by their own blade. But when samurai went to war, they weren't just skilled fighters. They were walking death sentences for anyone who stood in their way. Some armies fought for survival. The Mongols fought to rule the world. Led by Genghis Khan, Mongol warriors weren't just horsemen, they were war machines. Armed with composite bows, they could fire arrows while riding at full speed, hitting targets from hundreds of meters away. But their greatest weapon? Strategy. The Mongols used fake retreats to lure enemies into ambushes. They used spies to break enemy morale before battles even started. They didn't just defeat armies. They erased civilizations. At their peak, the Mongols controlled the largest empire in history, all because of their unmatched skill in war. These warriors didn't just wear armor, they wore the skin of their enemies. The Jaguar warriors were the elite fighters of the Aztec Empire, known for their ferocity and hunting tactics. Wearing jaguar pelts, they struck fear into their enemies, moving through battle as stealthy as the animal they represented. But what made them truly terrifying? Their purpose wasn't just to kill, it was to capture. The Aztecs needed prisoners for human sacrifices, and the Jaguar warriors were the best at hunting them down. If you saw one coming for you, there was no escape. What's scarier than an army of 10,000 warriors? An army that never seems to die. The Persian immortals were the elite soldiers of the Persian Empire. Whenever one died in battle, another was immediately replaced, keeping their numbers at a constant 10,000. Covered in golden armor, wielding both swords and bows, they were trained to be silent, deadly, and undefeatable. To their enemies, it seemed like they couldn't be killed, and in battle, they proved it. These warriors didn't fight for kingdoms. They fought for survival. Gladiators were trained in brutal, bloody combat, battling in arenas before thousands of screaming spectators. Armed with short swords, tridents, and even nets, they had to adapt to any enemy, any weapon, any style. Many were slaves, forced to fight for their lives, but some became so skilled, so legendary, that they earned their freedom and riches. However, the price of failure? Death. Strength comes from the body. Power comes from the mind. The Shaolin monks were warrior monks trained in kung fu, agility, and near-superhuman endurance. Their combat skills were so advanced that emperors hired them as bodyguards and elite warriors. They could strike with lightning speed, break spears with their bare hands, and even fight blindfolded. In battle, they weren't just warriors, they were unstoppable forces. These warriors weren't just strong. They were symbols of power, discipline, and fear. Whether through brute strength, elite training, or sheer willpower, each of them left a legacy that still echoes through history. From the fearless Spartans to the ruthless Mongols, every civilization had its ultimate warriors. But now, the question is, who was the greatest warrior of all time? Drop your pick in the comments. Who would win in a battle between these warriors? If you love history, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another mind-blowing video.